Welcome to Santa Clarita Weekly, where we cover all things local in Santa Clarita Valley every Saturday morning at 9 on KQRU 107.9. Join hosts Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty as they uncover the latest news, events, sports highlights, and more, keeping you connected and engaged with what matters most in our hometown.
All right, welcome back for another edition of Santa Clarita Weekly with Tim Haddock and Sage Rafferty. I'm Sage, he's Tim. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM on Saturday mornings at 9 o'clock. We're also on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, and you can find us online at santaclaritastar.com. So a week before the elections are officially certified, the race for the Santa Clarita Community College District Board of Trustees has been decided, and we'll talk about that. So the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors is wasting no time in putting Measure G, the proposal to expand the board from 5 to 9 members, into action. And the Board of Supervisors is also working in a plan to address the services provided to the homeless population in LA County. And Governor Gavin Newsom is preparing California for the incoming Trump administration. We'll talk about that. In local high school sports, the Castaic High boys basketball team is off to a 4-0 start, and the Valencia High girls basketball team is also undefeated at 4-0 to start the season. The Rams lost to the red-hot Philadelphia Eagles and dropped into a tie for last place in the NFC West standings. The LA Kings are going through a rough patch after losing to the Sharks in San Jose. So let's talk about the election. And Adele Alonso won a close race for re-election for her seat in the Santa Clarita Community College Board of Trustees by 133 votes. Alonso is the president of the Board of Trustees, and she ran for re-election, beating challenger Scott Schauer with 50.29% of the votes, and the election results will be officially certified on December 3rd. And let's talk about Measure G. So the Los Angeles County voters approved Measure G in the election, and the County Board of Supervisors is laying the foundation for putting it in motion. Measure G expands the Board of Supervisors from 5 to 9 members by 2030. It also calls for the election of a county CEO and other divisions to oversee the management and operation of the county. As part of the oversight, the supervisors are creating a task force to help organize and facilitate the expansion. Now, there was some debate about the makeup of the task force and creation of an ethics commission. One proposal was for a 13-member task force. Another was for a 15-member body. And who would be on the task force is also part of the debate. So Board of Supervisors Chair Lindsay Horvath helped spearhead Measure G and said she wants to include many different voices on the task force. Supervisor Holly Mitchell, who opposed Measure G, asked for amendments to the creation of the task force to include a variety of representatives on the task force. Mitchell asked for the appointments from the supervisors, representatives from labor groups, community leaders, and those with experience in government. And they reached a compromise on who will be on the task force and what their duties will be. It will be a few years before the Board of Supervisors expands, but how the county will be split up and who will be eligible to represent new districts are being decided right now. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to my co-host, Tim, who's going to be talking about what the Board of Supervisors is doing to address homelessness in LA County. Tim?
Okay, so the LA County Board of Supervisors is working on creating a new department to address and provide homeless services, but it is being criticized for duplicating the efforts of an existing department. Supervisors asked for an audit of an agency run by the county and the city of Los Angeles, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, and it revealed a mismanagement of funds and resources. The supervisors voted 4-0 to begin the process of creating a new agency to provide homeless services. Supervisor Holly Mitchell abstained from the vote, saying creating a new agency only duplicates what the Homeless Services Authority is supposed to do. The audit revealed a variety of concerns about the operation of the Homeless Services Authority, including mismanagement of funds, cash advances to subcontractors, failing to establish repayment from the subcontractors, and a failure to monitor contracts with supporting agencies. The Homeless Services Authority CEO said many of the concerns in the audit were a result of how the agency operated during the COVID-19 pandemic. The audit was also done using data gathered during a time when the agency was growing rapidly due to the increase in the homeless population and expansion of the agency's staff to provide services. Supervisor Lindsay Horvath said that the creation of a new agency is needed to provide transparency in how the agency operates and reports to the voters who provide the funds for the homeless services. The board's move comes on the heels of voters approving Measure A in November. It will double and extend a countywide sales tax to fund homeless measures. Measure A will take effect April 1st, 2025, and its revenue generation is expected to cross $1 billion in the fiscal year 2025-26. Supervisors stressed the need to use the funds collaboratively with regional agencies. The supervisors asked the CEO of the Homeless Services Authority to report back to them in 60 days.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Yeah. And you do have to wonder, with people aren't really talking about this very much, but with the incoming Trump administration saying they're going to be targeting LA County for cutting services and any way they can, cutting services to LA County, it's important that we kind of shore things up, which leads us into our next thing that we're going to be talking about, which is Gavin Newsom Trump-proofs California. And that's what people are calling it. He's Trump-proofing it. But, with the looming threat of Donald Trump's comeback to the White House, California Governor Gavin Newsom is intensifying measures he expects will be needed to confront an aggressive presidency. Newsom, who has been one of Trump's most vocal critics, is going out of his way to protect the Golden State from policies he believes might target liberal California's causes, such as climate change mitigation, immigrants, reproductive health, and natural disaster recovery. And this action cements another recent decision by Newsom where he went to Washington, D.C. to talk to federal authorities in search of a long overdue reimbursement funds owed for wildfire costs. So he actually went and met with President Biden. The governor's visit demonstrated what was at the line for California, a state that has, borne the brunt of climate change and natural disasters, but was frequently in conflict with the Trump White House in the first 4 years over disaster relief and environmentalism. So there's been a longstanding animus between Newsom and Trump, which is quite clear to anyone who follows, American politics. But in the first 2 years of bringing together the administration of President Trump, California has become a symbol of the fight against his policies. So Newsom assumed the governorship in 2019 was one of Trump's main adversaries on issues that had to do with immigration, healthcare, and the environment. Trump, on the other hand, often used California as the epitome of progressive failed policy. So he criticized the state for its handling of homelessness, wildfire management, and water policies, often using the state as a punching bag to rally his conservative base. But the most contentious battle was over aid for those affected by wildfires, which is a huge problem here in Santa Clarita and all over LA County. So Trump continued to shift the blame to forests and state management, despite the fact that the fires originated in California and were provoked by climate change and federal governmental management, right? So in 2018, he threatened to withhold disaster relief funds unless the state complied with federal water policy and forestry demands. And Newsom fired back, accusing Trump of politicizing disaster relief and failing to address the root causes of the crisis. And at the time, he said, you cannot fight climate change with tweets. And so they had a really deep conflict there between Newsom and Trump. But as Trump is expected to reclaim the White House, Newsom is not resting as he gets California ready for that battle again. Cognizant of federal intrusion, Newsom has summarily convened a California special session to provide more financial support to legal policy and other forms of defenses against the Trump administration. So in his speech to lawmakers and the public, Governor Newsom vowed to protect Californians from what he began to call an upcoming assault on progressive values. In a strongly worded statement, Newsom vowed that the freedoms we hold dear in California are under attack and we won't sit idle. California has faced this challenge before and we know how to respond. So the session is set for December 2nd, and it's going to aim at increasing funding for the California Department of Justice and other agencies to litigate against expected actions by the federal government. The governor has also discussed with the state departments revisiting contingency measures for protecting key policies on abortion access, LGBTQ plus rights, and environmental standards. So California knows all too well about engaging in legal battles with the federal government. During Trump's first term, the state sued his administration 123 times over policies from repealing of DACA protections to the state's car emission standards. So Attorney General Rob Bonta, who succeeded Xavier Becerra, has told Californians that the state is prepared for more litigation. He said, if Trump attacks your rights, I'll be there. If Trump comes after your freedoms, I'll be there. But Bonta's office has already started going back through previous cases and thinking through possible litigation regarding federal policies on matters related to women's reproductive rights, immigration, and environmental rollbacks. Experts argue that the second term of the Trump administration might even be more hostile given the support from a Congress and a judiciary dominated by the Republican Party. So it is even reminding everyone of Newsom's recent trip to Washington, D.C. for the best reason to make sure that California gets the federal money that it is owed. The state remains with bills to be put into the frequent and destructive phenomenon of wildfire, with hundreds of its residents having been affected by recent disasters. And Newsom said that California has been here before, and we've proven that we can stand up to Washington and win. So the Biden administration has been more agreeable to distributing disaster relief. Newsom's visit simply shows rising concern that Trump may again cause certain disaster funds to be stalled or outright rejected. During his first term, Trump's administration used disaster relief funds to strong-arm the U.S. Congress into changing policies, and Newsom sees this as a possibility in the future. And the governor has proposed increasing the number of programs for disaster relief assistance funding by the state instead of the federal relief. So measures such as these, of course, would be expensive, but they might help create an effective hedge against the political retribution from Washington. And these anticipations are not only legal and financial. Newsom has also planned many things around him. So the governor is also engaging other layers of the government, civil society, and businesses to push back on expected federal actions on various issues. So the California has many obstacles in the future, but has valuable shifts in the current national policy. As the nation's largest economy, the state has often acted as a counterweight to federal initiatives. For example, California's stricter emission standards have been adopted by other states, effectively setting a higher bar for automakers nationwide. And the outcome of this renewed confrontation clearly will define both the future of California and the nation. For Californians, the stakes involve countering the policies that threaten to undo the very liberal identity of the state. So, as Newsom said in his recent speech, he said no state has more to lose or more to gain in this election. So, let's Trump's inauguration approaches. All eyes will be on California, watching how this epic clash between two starkly different visions for America unfolds. So, Tim, how do you think California is going to fare over the next 4 years with Donald Trump back in the White House?
Newsom is gearing up for a fight, and he's already started. You're talking about some of the environmental challenges that California is going to be facing under a Trump administration, and Gavin Newsom's already kind of addressed one of them. One of the things that Trump wants to do is eliminate the tax credit for electric vehicles. And, that obviously is going to make it harder for oil companies to sell gas and to make money off of gas. If there's less demand and less, gasoline-powered cars, there's going to be less profits for the oil companies. So Trump is trying to combat that by getting rid of the $7,500 tax credit for people who buy electric vehicles. Now, Gavin Newsom has countered by saying that he's not going to eliminate that tax credit. People in California who buy electric vehicles are still going to get a tax credit. I'm not sure exactly how much it's going to be, but they will get a tax credit And on top of that, Gavin Newsom made it a little personal by saying that the people who buy Teslas will not get the tax credit. So you're going to get your tax credit if you buy an electric vehicle, and if you don't buy a Tesla. So, I mean, this fight has already started. The battle between California and the White House is going to be one that is going to exist as long as Newsom is governor. And I don't know who's going to be the next governor of California, but it's probably going to be another Democrat, and it's probably going to be somebody who is going to be at odds with the president again. So this isn't going to go away, and we're just seeing the start of it. You know, Newsom is going to fight Trump at every turn, and hopefully, as long as we're in California, we won't be subjected to some of the bad decisions that are most likely going to come out of the White House over the next 4 years.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting next 4 years for sure. So you are listening to KQRU 107.9 FM in Santa Clarita. You can listen to Santa Clarita Weekly on Saturday mornings at 9, or you can listen to us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, so Tim, talk to us about high school sports.
So the high school basketball seasons are underway, and we're in the very early stages of the basketball season. So a lot of the teams from Santa Clarita, a lot of teams in the Foothill League are playing in tournaments all over Southern California right now. So let's start with the Castaic High boys basketball team. They're off to a hot start. The boys won their first 4 games and are undefeated in the early stages of the high school basketball season. Castaic won the CIF Southern Section Division 5 2A championship last year, despite going 0-12 in the Foothill League. Castaic beat El Segundo to win the CIF Southern Section Championship and earned a berth in the CIF State Playoffs. But Castaic lost to Westchester in the first round of the CIF State Division 4 playoffs. The Castaic boys are picking up where they left off last season. They have impressive wins over Monroe, San Fernando, the Magnolia Science Academy Reseda, and Northridge Academy. The next game for Castaic is against Moore Park. Canyon High won its first 2 games, beating Lancaster and Buena. And Canyon's next game is against Granada Hills. The West Ranch High boys won its first game of the season, 63-49 over Paraclete. West Ranch plays Burroughs of Burbank next. The Golden Valley boys basketball team started the season in the Bob Hocking Varsity Tip-Off Tournament in Simi Valley. The Golden Valley beat Simi Valley and Ventura, but lost to Brentwood School and El Camino Real. The Golden Valley boys took down Lancaster to improve to 3-2 to start the season. The Saugus High boys basketball team, the reigning Foothill League champs, are off to a so-so start. Saugus beat Maranatha and Cleveland, but lost to San Gabriel Academy and Notre Dame from Sherman Oaks. Saugus plays Canyon in the Foothill League opener next. The Valencia boys basketball team has won only 1 game in its first 4 games. Valencia beat Oak Park, but lost to Calabasas, Legacy Christian Academy, and Westlake to start the season. Valencia plays Chehalvet next. The Hart boys basketball team beat West Covina in the San Gabriel tournament. Hart plays AGBU next. In high school girls basketball, Valencia made an impressive run at the Conejo Valley tournament with 4 wins. The Valencia girls basketball team beat Pacifica, Golden Valley, Oxnard, and Oaks Christian. Kara McKell scored 18 points and had 14 rebounds in the game against Oaks Christian. She also had 6 assists and 3 steals. She's off to a good start too. Valencia plays Granada Hills next. The Hart girls basketball team went undefeated in the Bonita Tip-Off Classic in Laverne to start the season. The Hart girls beat Frontier, Los Osos, Claremont, and Chino Hills and are 4-0 after 4 games. Morgan Mack leads the team in scoring with 13 points per game and leads the team with 8 rebounds per game. The West Ranch girls won 2 of their first 3 games. They beat Blair and Fillmore, but lost to the Sherman Oaks Center for Enriched Students. The Castaic girls are off to a slow start, losing their first 2 games, but won their next 2. They lost to Arvin and Burbank, but bounced back against Magnolia Science Academy Reseda and Fillmore. The Castaic girls play Santa Barbara next. The Canyon girls lost to Oak Park in their first game of the season, but beat Village Christian in overtime in their second game. The Canyon girls play Newberry Park on the road next. Saugus girls are off to a rocky start in the St. Mary's Kickoff Classic in Culver City. The Saugus girls lost 3 games to Crescenta Valley, Redondo Union, and Hamilton, but Saugus beat St. Mary's Academy for their only win in the tournament. Saugus plays Canyon in the Foothill League opener next. The Golden Valley girls joined the Valencia girls in the Conejo Valley Kickoff Classic to start the season. Golden Valley lost 3 games in the tournament to Oaks Christian, Valencia, and Oxnard. Golden Valley plays Vasquez High in Acton. So that's it for the high school basketball roundup. Next up is the LA Rams.
Yep. So let's talk about the LA Rams. So the Rams ran into a bulldozer against the Philadelphia Eagles at SoFi and in a Sunday night game. The Eagles running back Saquon Barkley set a franchise record with 255 rushing yards and scored 2 touchdowns in his team's 37-20 win over the Rams. The record-setting performance dropped the Rams to 5-6 and into a tie for last place in NFC West standings. So Barkley broke the team record of 217 rushing yards in a game set by LaShawn McCoy in 2013. Barkley also racked up 302 total yards, setting another team record. He broke the record of 296 total yards set by Dujay Staley, and if it wasn't impressive enough, Barkley also rushed for the most yards against a Rams team ever. So the Rams could not stop Barkley. He scored both touchdowns on big plays, too, on runs of 70 and 72 yards, and it was a costly loss for the Rams. They're in a tie for last place in the NFC West with the San Francisco 49ers. But the good news, if there is any from the Eagles game, is the Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks are tied for first place in the NFC West with 6-5 records. So the Rams are only a game out of first place and play the Cardinals and Seahawks one more time before the season ends. However, the biggest news happened off the field. So Rams wide receiver Demarcus Robinson was arrested and suspected of driving under the influence in the Valley after the game. So he was one of the few bright spots for the Rams against the Eagles. He caught a touchdown pass and helped the Rams keep the game close. But now he is facing DUI and speeding charges. So Rams coach Sean McVay talked to reporters about how the team is dealing with Robinson's arrest.
When you see in the report the allegedly driving in excess of 100 miles per hour, just what is the level of concern for you and the organization?
I want to gather all the appropriate facts. I did see that. I want to be able to gather all the appropriate facts from, the total report and see what that is, and then be able to move forward accordingly. But always have safety and good decision making in mind, and that certainly is concerning.
So the Rams play the New Orleans Saints on the road next. It is a good opportunity for the Rams to even their record again against a struggling Saints team and stay in contention for winning the NFC West division. McVay talked about how the Rams are preparing for the rest of the season.
What's your assessment of the NFC West at the moment and, as you guys get into the final third of the season?
Yeah, my assessment is that, there's a lot of football left to be played. Every single team has at least 5 losses. You see Seattle and Arizona, have a good battle. Both those teams have 6 wins, and we have the same record as the Niners. But, for us, we've got 6 games guaranteed left, and I want to see us do everything in our power to commit to doing the best of our ability and every single thing that we can do, coaches and players alike, on a consistent basis, day in and day out. Let's see where that leaves us. We can't sit there and watch other people, because if we don't handle what we're supposed to handle, it all is irrelevant, Gary. I do feel confident that the approach will give us the best opportunity to play as well as we're capable of. And I'm looking forward to learning about ourselves down this stretch.
Well, that's kind of a sad note to leave off talking about the NFL, but let's talk about hockey. So the Kings are going through a bit of a rough patch. So they have lost 4 of their past 6 games, including a 7-2 blowout against the last place Sharks in San Jose. So it was the second time the Kings lost to the Sharks this season. The Kings also lost an ugly game 1-0 against the Buffalo Sabres at the Crypto.com arena. So they did manage to squeak out a 2-1 win over the Seattle Kraken, but it was a lone bright spot in an otherwise dark stretch for the Kings. Quentin Byfield scored a goal for the Kings in the game against the Kraken, and he said he is feeling more comfortable on the ice in recent games.
Chances seem to pile up on the power play. How good did it feel to get one to go in the back net?
I feel like practice we were moving the puck around a lot. And obviously in Buffalo we got a lot of chances at it, and we're right there. So finally tonight, First game of all that we scored a power play goal. I felt like everything was clicking. Then, great pass from Kev there, and just want to get pucks to the net. That was their mindset to shoot, so it worked.
Hugh, for you personally, first goal in a while, the goals have been kind of hard to come by this season. Just how much of a relief was it to see that to the back of the net?
Yeah, it feels good. I feel like I've got my chances. Same as Fogey as well. Like, I feel like we've been playing well enough to be rewarded a little bit more. But that's just hockey. Sometimes you get the bounces, sometimes you don't. So obviously when that went in, was pretty happy there. Then just happy for the power play as well.
It's part of the beauty of that maybe you were on the right side for the one timer there, Kevin was in the middle, that you guys can move around a little bit and still be able to make plays.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the key with the new penalty kill system. It's kind of just all pressure everywhere. So when they can't get set and you move around a lot, you confuse them. Just on the penalty kill, all your power plays are moving around on us. You kind of lose your guy. You don't know who to go to. So as much as we can do that on power play, it opens up a lot of spaces. And that shot will come up there.
You mentioned you've had the chances recently, just haven't gone in. How hard is it to keep your confidence up when you just can't find that bounce? And how much have you kind of worked on that as your career's gone on, not getting too low when the chances aren't getting important?
Yeah, it's obviously tough. Like, you do think about it, but you got to stay positive. Kind of learn from the best, like Kopi. All the time it's just kind of just even keel. So kind of just look at his attitude, go off that. But for myself, always try to be happy. That's kind of just my personality, and always just doing that. Don't want to get anyone else down around me. So when it comes, it comes eventually, and hopefully they pile up.
Has that been the toughest lesson of these first 200 NHL games?
Yeah, geez, it took a while, but there's been a lot of ups and downs. Obviously, injuries, illnesses. So it was tough. There's a lot of adversity, a lot of challenging moments in those 200 games. But to come across it, still 22, so still young, and hopefully a lot more.
But the Kings followed up a strong showing against Seattle with a stinker in San Jose. So Coach Hiller talked about how his team played against the Sharks.
There was a lot of optimism coming off of the 3-game homestand, the intensity you guys showed. I mean, what just, I guess, didn't translate in today's 60?
Well, I thought it was the third period. Yeah, the second period we played pretty well. I think one thing people have to understand is you shouldn't disrespect this team. That's not a team that's trying to tank. That's a good hockey team, strong players, real good back end. We played them 3 times. They beat us twice. We barely beat them the one at home. So I give them the respect they deserve first. It was a hard game for 40 minutes. The second period we were good, and then we completely fell apart in the third period. It's just unacceptable what happened in the third. So we can talk about.
So the Kings play the Winnipeg Jets next. They have what should be easy games against the Anaheim Ducks and Ottawa Senators. So that's our show. So tune in next week for more discussions about the news from Santa Clarita. You can listen to us on the radio at KQRU 107.9 FM at 9 on Saturday mornings. You can also watch us on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and listen to us on SantaClaritaStar.com. Wherever you listen to podcasts, so leave us a comment and be sure to subscribe to Santa Clarita Weekly Online. Thank you for listening and have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Santa Clarita Weekly. You can watch the show on Santa Clarita Star's YouTube channel and Facebook page, as well as listen in on the radio at KQRU 107.9. Visit SantaClaritaStar.com for more content and tune in right here to KQRU 107.9. A new voice for Santa Clarita.